Hey there, and welcome to the KidzMatter Podcast, your go-to resource for all things children's ministry. Each week, we bring you fresh ideas, inspiring stories, and practical insights to help you lead, love, and serve kids like never before. Whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned pro, we're glad you're here. Let's get started. Hey KidzMatter family, my name is Hannah Peckett-Augustine, and I am so excited that you're jumping in for today's episode of the KidzMatter Podcast. Today we'll be having a conversation with Jordan Davis and Mark Campbell from Awana. If you've been in ministry for a while, you're familiar with the name Awana because they produce amazing curriculum for kids of all ages. We're so excited for today's conversation all about what Midweek ministry should look like in 2025 and beyond. Let's check out a word from our sponsor. Hey Kidmin leaders, are you ready to transform your weekend ministry with a biblically rich curriculum? You can disciple babies through elementary age kids towards a lasting faith with Bright gospel-centered curriculum. With Bright, kids will walk through the Bible chronologically each year. In every Bright lesson, the Bible is read, heard, and connected to Jesus as Redeemer, Savior, and Lord. Download a free month-long Bright series at brightcurriculum.com. That's BRITE curriculum.com. We can't wait to jump into today's conversation, so let's get started.
Alrighty, everybody, we're live at the KidzMatter Conference. This is the KidzMatter Podcast. I'm sitting here with Mark Campbell. Mark, so glad to have you here with us today. And man, you're going to be a busy guy over the next few days. And you're at a brand new place. I know we all know Awana. So Mark, first, I would love for you just to introduce yourself. You've been in ministry a long time. Yeah. Just tell a little bit of your story.
Absolutely. You know, I grew up a preacher's kid in Missouri and grew up at church all the time, helping out, doing everything. And just really, that was the formation of my faith was coming from that and my parents and being part of ministry hands-on from as far back as I can remember. And they used to take the pack and play to church with me. That's where I started serving, just out of a pack and play.
Love it.
So, from there, just, continued to do things over the years. Went to a Christian faith-based college that really challenged me at things that could be done beyond, the church walls. Yeah. And then left there when I graduated and moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and got involved in the Christian music industry and worked 20-some years living my dream, just being a part of ministry through music. Yeah. And worked with literally hundreds of musicians and
some big names in there. You can name drop. That's big names in there.
Yeah, worked with Stephen Chris Shaman, Newsboys, Fred Hammond, Hezekiah Walker. Worked on a lot of Christian movie soundtracks, the Wow series. If anybody ever came across those.
Wow, the 90s.
Oh yeah. So Phillips, Craig and Dean. Anyway, just a lot of different bands, hundreds of bands and artists and all different styles of music, and was really great at that, and just really giving people resources to support their everyday life, whether that be on a music source or whether that's through Christian radio. Huge believer in the power of Christian radio. And then God landed about 4 different children's ministry music projects in my lap one time. And I have to be honest, I was not excited about it. It's like, do you want to work on this artist everybody knows and loves, or do you want to go do this kids music thing? And, I didn't know anything about kids music, and God used those to really prick my heart and just really see the value in that, and launch those. And, one of those was, I was working on Hillsong music at the time, and, Hillsong, was amazing from their church. And then we had just launched Hillsong United and had got that out into the marketplace. And then they came back to us and said, hey, we got this idea. We want to do Hillsong Kids. Yeah. And so that was the first thing that hit me. And I'm going like, really? Hillsong Kids? Come on. We've had 2 good successes here. Why are we going to do a kids thing?
Don't fail one. Yeah.
And they were all about it. And I even got to go to Sydney and spent a week and a half at the church and just saw the kids ministry in action. And I saw these people, and some of them were the guys that I knew in Hillsong United, cool, vibey people, and they were spending their Sunday mornings in the kids ministry, leading worship. And we would go from age group to age group with them, and they would so it was like little toddlers and these cool guys that were doing these big rock and roll worship events were sitting down and leading toddlers in worship. And then they went out to the special needs area and they were on the playground in like a sand area, and they got on the ground with acoustic guitars and led special needs kids in worship. And it ripped me up. And it was all over after that. I was just like, okay, this is something that God wants me to do.
Yeah.
And so ended up doing some more kids projects, and then came out of that, and that was my last what I call music industry job. And I shifted gears. It was over 15 years ago into church resources, so that churches could minister to kids more effectively. First with music, and then curriculum. I caught the curriculum bug.
Yeah.
And I was not a curriculum person at all. Had to look. First time I worked on a curriculum project, I had to look it up how to spell curriculum. That's how green I was. But God used me and used my talent to be able to come in and help shape curriculum. My specialty is figuring out the architecture of curriculum. What are the components? That kind of thing. So then the theologians can come in and write it. But it's still it's got to fit. It's got to fit the ministries and be usable in lots of different kinds of churches. And so, curriculum got added to that, and then some other church activities, and just helping churches be more effective as we minister and disciple to kids. So
you got in that event world for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that was easy coming out of the music business. I knew all about concerts and had worked every side of that. And doing events was a natural progression that I love. And again, it's back to, helping leaders be more effective. And there's nothing like events, just like the KidzMatter conference, to do that. And, man, I've got great memories, 4 or 5 years ago, sitting down with Ryan multiple times and talking about this conference, and him just going like, how can we take this to the next level? And, what do we need to do to blow this up and make it way more effective? And man, I totally applaud Ryan for following through and making that happen.
And making it big, but still being intentional.
Yes.
That's what's amazing. I think a couple people here were walking by earlier, and they're like, I was like, hey, what do you think? First morning, and they're like, I've never been to this, but it feels like family. There is a difference of like, these are honest conversations. You're in a round table over in one room, and it's like the speakers are sitting there with you. Like, you're not always at a conference where a speaker is going to sit down and have a discussion with you. How are you?
That's right.
What are you struggling with? And that's what, KidzMatter, that's what we want is we're family. We're in this together.
Yeah. Well, and it's just, there's something about coming together, especially the energy of the group of people, and with the crowd, like we can see right now in the hallways, there's somebody you're going to relate to. There's somebody you're going to connect to, because there's so many different kinds of people, so many different types of churches, big, small, little, Baptist, Assembly of God. Everybody's here.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those scenarios where, you come here, you're going to find your tribe, your niche. You're going to find people that you can relate to, and you can spill your guts to, or you can cry on, or you can just celebrate with. And it's all happening in the halls all the time.
And that's why we wanted to do this out in the open. Like, literally, you all can't see, but behind or in front of us is hundreds of people all the time walking by. And we wanted people to know, like, these are conversations that are all the time happening. Like, we want this feel no matter what is where you're at, what's going on. Like, and everybody's invited in this conversation. Like, everybody's welcome at the table, no matter if you've been in ministry 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, or it's your 5th day. I brought one of my people, actually doesn't even start till October 1st.
How awesome. But what a great beginning.
But that's the thing of, like, we want to bring you into this tribe that we have in kids ministry world. It's messy, it's fun, it's loud, it's sleepless, it's tiring, and come. And so, Mark, as we go into, we really wanted to sit you down and talk about midweek. We want to really, we talk about parenting matters, kids matter, but we know that midweek matters. And so I'd love to ask you, just to start with, why does midweek matter?
Well, I think it starts with weekends. I mean, if you're a church, you got to do weekends. I mean, that's the front door to the church. That's where we bring people to. That's where we bring our friends and our relatives, our coworkers, somebody you meet at the grocery store. You're going to probably invite them to a weekend. And that's where they get a taste of it. But we all know, unfortunately, that weekend attendance is kind of hit and miss. There's grandma's house, there's the lake, there's, things to go to. Weekends, get eaten up a lot with things that's going on. And so, as children's ministry leaders, we can only do so much. And we've got those kids that we love that come every week. Those are awesome. That's our core. That's what holds it together. But a lot of people drift in and drift out. I think the beauty of weekends are that people do tend to kind of sign up and commit to weekend. And you put it on your calendar, and you got karate on Tuesday night, you got ballet on Thursday night, you've got your routine, you got your driving schedule where you're taking the kids and you're going. And if we can convince parents that, okay, church is one of those things during the week, you schedule it, you put it on there, it happens week in, week out. Churches that have done that, they find that the regular attendance on weekend is so much higher. And those kids come, they're expecting it. They're expecting to learn. They're expecting it, in the same way that they go to baseball batting coach, one night, and then they go to church one night. It's a coach, it's a mentor, it's someone that's walking them through new information. And so with Midweek, we have that. We also, because on the weekends, people's calendars can change constantly, but during the week, Monday through Friday, our calendar during the school year is pretty set.
Which I think is something we can just stop for a second.
Yeah,
as parents, what you put as a priority, your kids see as a priority.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's on that calendar, it's a priority. And if church isn't on that calendar, is it really a priority? Yeah,
that's right. So, and then the other thing I think is that, there's just, man, the I don't want to use the word hectic, but I can't think of a better word. Maybe you'll have one. But Sunday mornings, man, it's go, go, go,
Chaos,
go, go.
Yeah.
A lot of us have multiple services that we're dealing with. Parents in and out. People come late. They leave early. It just seems like it's just, it's just chaotic to a certain extent. Wednesday nights, there's one service.
Yep.
There's one. Your teachers typically don't rotate. They're there every single week, so you know what you're getting. They're developing that one-on-one relationship that's so important, that loving, caring adult that shows up every week. There's just so many things that are consistent about Midweek. And so all these things we've talked about do really sink into that kid, and they know that, hey, this is important, this is a priority, and you have that opportunity to take them on a journey, because once you are that loving, caring adult and there's a trust for you and they're interested in what you have to say, and they can start to build from week to week on what you're presenting to them. The amount of discipleship that can happen, the learning that can happen, the life change that can happen is huge. And again, there's no negative on weekends at all. That's our front door. But man, invite kids and families into the living room. Weekends, Midweek is the living room. That's where we hang out together. That's where we come regularly. That's where we get to know each other. That's where we start being real with each other. And that's where we develop relationships, and relationships lead to discipleship.
This conversation has been incredible so far, and I wanted to take a moment to invite you to the KidzMatter Conference, happening in Evansville, Indiana, October 7th, 8th, and 9th. This is an event you are not going to want to miss. Join thousands of kids ministry leaders as we come together for worship, dynamic breakouts, and incredible main sessions. We'd love to have you come. You can visit thekidsmatterconference.com to sign up.
Well, I'm just here sitting thinking back as a kid, young Jordan.
Yeah.
I remember probably more midweek or off night intentional times with leaders.
Yeah.
Because they showed up for me when I needed them most.
That's right.
And probably the best conversations, the conversations that put me into ministry, the conversations that really pushed me when I wanted to quit, the conversations that when I was struggling with a breakup or whatever those youth things were, it was because an adult showed up in the middle of the week for me. And I think a lot of us as churches have kind of forgot that. I know for me, I'll just be honest, like our church, we don't do it midweek. We have a Thursday night service, but it's the same service as our weekend services.
Okay.
We were really good at small groups, but we don't really offer anything for kids. And so it's putting me in the hot seat right now. I was like, man, all the biggest things I remember that changed my life, I no longer do for our kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and also adults, you can, whether you got a pastor's Bible study or you got classes with the adults, but even if you don't, it gives the adults an opportunity to maybe gather. Maybe it's just a social gathering, where you have one-on-one discipleship going on in a cafe area or in a room to set up with tables. Or maybe it gives adults that can't serve on the weekend because they've got 7 kids and they just can't do it. Maybe on midweek it gives them an opportunity to serve, in a different outlet. So it really, midweek is absolutely critical, I believe, in the spiritual formation of kids. The opportunity to discipleship at a whole different level than you can on weekends. but also for parents and adults. There's huge opportunities there to serve, to gain relationships, to be discipled or disciple others. There's a huge need in one-on-one adult discipleship in church, and we're so busy sometimes we just don't ever get to it. And again, it doesn't take the place of small group.
No, yeah.
But small group doesn't do that one-on-one, mentoring, coaching, discipling either.
Yeah.
So midweek can be so many different things. You just got to fit, okay, what in the context of your church, what makes sense, what works, but don't miss out on the opportunity. Is everybody going to come? No. And that's okay. The ones that do come, you can provide a rich opportunity there to help them move forward in their spiritual walk.
Yeah. Well, I think for everybody watching, like, don't just think that maybe your structure, you can't do it midweek. Maybe you're at a church plant and you don't have a facility. Like, we're not saying you have to do this, but what we're saying is if you open up the conversations to where you're doing intentional discipleship throughout the week, I think that's the big thing.
Yes.
So Mark, obviously we're going to get into Awana. I want you to, I don't know a lot about Awana, so you can school me a little bit as everybody else, but I know Awana's been around forever. So if you can tell a little bit, I love talking about like, what is the heart behind the brand? I've known Awana for years, and 20 years of ministry, I've known Awana forever. What is Awana, but what is the heart behind what Awana stands for and the mission and vision behind it?
Oh, absolutely. Awana really is three things. It is equipping leaders, all of us.
All of us, yeah.
And two, it's reaching kids. Those leaders, when they're properly equipped and trained and done, that means they can they can reach more kids and reach them more effectively. And then three is changing the world, because those kids, when they truly fall in love with Jesus and they have a lifetime walk with him, they're going to change the world in powerful ways. And so we are one piece of that, but we kind of feel like we're the snowball at the top of the hill. And, we push it off, with equipping and training leaders, and then they go to the kids, and then the kids go to the world. And so the snowball gets to the bottom of the hill.
It's big.
It's huge. Yeah. And that's Awana in a nutshell.
Oh, that's good.
Now we do that. Like that. We do that in a lot of different ways. And the one way for 75 years we've done is midweek, which is no surprise to anyone. Yeah. And we have midweek here in the United States. 100 different denominations. We have thousands of churches that do that, mostly Wednesday nights, but sometimes other times during the week as well. And it's a great opportunity for kids to come together, like you said, with loving, caring adults. There's small group time. There's a lot of Bible memory. There's biblical training. We have a large group time where there's large group teaching. There's singing. There's really like a miniature service. And then we have game time. And we've found over these 75 years that game time is so important. It's team building. It pushes the kids closer to each other. They compete. They win. They lose. In playing games. And then same way, their game leader usually is one of the closest people that they become attached to. And a lot of times the person that leads games would never enter a classroom to lead kids. But you ask them, will you come lead games? Well, sure. Yeah, I'll go do that. Yes. I'll play games with a kid. And so those three things are what happens. So if a church has an hour and a half, we just split it up, 30 minutes in small group time, 30 minutes in large group time, and then 30 minutes in game time. And we have curriculum that works everywhere from early preschool, like 2 years old, all the way up through 18. Okay. Churches, not every church uses every age level. We have it broken up every 2 or 3 years, so it's 6 different programs. But the capacity is there, and if a child goes through those clubs, we've got research that shows the double, triple, quadruple a chance that they're going to continue to read the Bible the rest of their life, that they're going to walk with Christ the rest of their life. It's just what you put in comes back out later in life. So that's kind of historical Awana. In addition to that, we've also branched into a global footprint. Okay. And we have a curriculum that works incredibly well across the world. We're in 130 countries. There are 6 million kids weekly that are impacted through Awana Ministries across the world. And we do those through a lot of we use local and regional churches and ministries to do that, just the same way we do in the United States. We work with organizations like Compassion and World Vision to provide the theological part of them picking up a child and getting around a child. And so there's a huge amount of that happens. That is all donor-based, which is really cool. So primarily the churches and Christians in America, donate so that we can go out into those 130 countries, those 6 million kids, and do that global work that's done.
That's amazing.
And then back in the U.S. again, we also, just a few years ago, introduced a weekend curriculum. Because what I talked about earlier, we believe in weekend. That's the front door. That's where the families come in first. And so we now have a weekend curriculum that's Bible-based. Everything points to Jesus. It's a walk through the Bible every year. It is talks about culture and how do kids take the Bible and apply it to culture that they have to live in every day. And it's called Bright, and robust, great curriculum for that. We also have an annual event called the Child Discipleship Forum, and it's a totally different thing than KidzMatter, but it's where thought-leading children's ministers from across the country either come to Nashville or they do it online, and they listen to 16 speakers in 2 days.
Wow.
So
a fire hose right there.
It is a fire hose. You come in, we sit you down at tables, and you listen to the speakers, and you discuss it with people around you. And it's a great format that really challenge you in what your ministry philosophy is. And then the last thing we have is childdiscipleship.com, and we create a lot of resources. A lot of them are free that are there.
Did you all hear that? Free resources.
Childdiscipleship.com. And it's just anything that we can do to help people kind of follow up on the conference and think about. I should say that, but you don't have to go to the conference. So you weren't there, Jordan.
No,
but you can go to childdiscipleship.com and still get a lot out of it.
After the conference.
That's right. Or maybe it's prepping you for next year when you come to the conference.
I need to come. Well, hearing from this, it sounds like I need to.
Yeah. So lots of good resources there, as well as some short-term for sale resources as well, like events to equip parents in your church, things like that. So they're not a full-on curriculum, but they're still resources that help train and equip leaders.
That's good.
Anyway, lot.
That's good.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah. So obviously, we know that just intentionality matters, and so that means that repetition over and over. You obviously are having midweeks. Midweek matters.
That's right.
Let's get into a little bit more in Awana. Like, how can people find it? Can they check it out? So
sure.
Get into some of the sales pitchy stuff for a minute.
All right.
I want you to do that because here's what I know. I know that everybody's at a different place.
Yeah,
they're at a different kind of church. We've got countries at this conference right now. Tons of countries represented. Every demographic is different. So I want you to try things. I love talking to ministry partners. Obviously, Awana is a very trusted partner here at KidzMatter. We trust you. We trust your resources. So tell people how they can get it, how they can try it out. And then I want you to really end with this. We'll still have a little more conversation. But why do you love it? Why do you love it?
Sure. Well, if you're looking for weekend material, Bright, BRITE, curriculum.com. That's the place to go. You can get a free download of a month of curriculum, absolutely free, to take a look, kick the tires, see if it's a good fit for you or not. If you're looking for midweek, that would be Awana Clubs, CLUBS.com. And you can go in there, you can download samples of all 6 age levels, figure out if that's a good fit for you. We also have 50 missionary trainers that live across the United States. And so there's a good chance that there's one of those near you. We can get you connected to that person. They can call you up, Zoom you, go by and see you, whatever, and walk you through what's the next steps for you in child discipleship. So that's all part of AwanaClubs.com. And then we already talked about childdiscipleship.com. If you want some more free stuff, there you can also learn about the Child Discipleship Forum that happens every September.
I'm in on that.
And so those are kind of the 4 things. I will end, though, it's like if your heart is tugged by God in global reach, Awana.org, Awana.org. that's where you can learn about those 130 countries and what we do from a donor-fueled missional aspect, of reaching more kids around the globe, where the church structure is not as organized as it is here, and ways to get in there and help kids. Right now, there's a project in Africa. I think we're up to 4 or 5 countries in Africa now where they are struggling with getting kids to go to school. And we've developed a program that includes games that kids are excited about, and school attendance is going up.
Wow.
As they incorporate that into it. And the trade-off is they have to teach Jesus in those schools to get the program. And so we've got literally 2 or 3 million kids being impacted in public schools in Africa now because we're helping get the attendance up in schools. I mean, you just know what God's going to open the door, what he's going to make it happen. And he does it in different ways everywhere.
And that's where I love, there's always a story behind the story.
Yeah.
Like they're bringing in something that they think is going to solve a problem. We're trying to solve a different problem.
That's right.
We just know they need Jesus. Yeah.
That's
right.
Those stories. We're pulling together, both problems are getting solved.
Yeah.
And, that's the beauty of it. So Awana.org is where to go to find out about that more global footprint, what God's doing in so many different places. But the heart of all this is just about kids, man, that need Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like I said, I started ministry in a pack and play, and I'm so blessed, but not everybody's that blessed. And, they've got different lives and they've come up different ways. And, it's all about kids and meeting them where they are and having a loving, caring adult that can gain their trust and warm up to them, and to the point where a child is willing to listen about what makes their life different. And that difference is Jesus, and how we can introduce that to them. And then how, not only just to get them interested, but how can we walk that pathway with them in true discipleship? Children's ministry is great, but when we start to hone in on discipleship and walking those kids forward a step at a time in their faith, that's when things really start to matter. And that's when faith that sticks really starts to happen.
And so we know that faith at home sticks, and to partner with families.
Oh, yeah.
It matters. Mark, I would love to hear, just as we close, what is a win in ministry that you have seen that you just know is only in a God moment? Only a God moment. Just is there a story that you can think back? We love just asking fun questions at the end of these. Sure. What's just that big God story that has kept you going maybe for a long time?
Yeah. I think, I've never been on staff at a church. I've always been one of, high capacity volunteer.
Yeah.
That's me. I should get a shirt that says that.
Mega volunteer.
Because I've done that and been that, and I've even run children's ministry departments in Lowell's, at churches and stuff. But I've never been on staff. And our church does small groups on Sunday nights in homes, and the kids were just getting dropped off and playing at church. And I just kept saying, guys, this is, we've got these kids for 2.5+ hours. Yeah. They're just coming here and playing. It's like, well, all the adults are in small groups. We're just paying people to come in here and babysit them. And I'm going like, that's crazy. God has given us this incredible time. We got to do something. Come on, let's do something, staff. And where that leads. Yeah. Next thing you know, Mark is in charge of Sunday nights.
You signed up for it.
And we, for the next 2 years, I led Sunday nights, and the cool thing was I let our children's ministry then go to their small group. They didn't have to stop. They were able to still go. And I found a handful of volunteers, really just 3 people to help me. And then we went out and got a small group to volunteer once a semester to come in and be our leadership team that week.
That's good, yeah.
And it was a way to take this won't work, and spin it back around and let small groups continue to flourish, let small groups learn to serve kids,
And your leaders get some time.
And leaders didn't, and our children's minister still got to go to her small group. And it was like a win-win-win that was not planned at all. It just fell together out of me complaining. And we sat back, I'm like 6 months into it and looked back, and then saw all those things I just mentioned, but none of them were intentionally planned.
When you had healthier leaders to do the weekend work,
Yes.
because they're getting fed at some point,
Right.
which is where, guys.
Yeah, because none of the people doing Sunday nights were doing Sunday mornings or Wednesday nights.
And this
was totally different crew.
That's what I was just sitting here thinking. Like, if you're out there watching this and you never get to go to service, I had a conversation with a couple of kids leaders earlier, and they're sitting there saying, I love coming to KidzMatter Conference because I get worship.
Yeah.
I don't ever get worship. I know for me, I went years of never getting Sundays. And now I've realized I led so empty because I was never fed.
No overflow.
And if you could do a midweek and have a different group of volunteers cover that, and you could actually go to a service, or you could at least go to a Bible study and get fed, how much more would your ministry flourish? And so I know we're out of the kids' world a minute, but like, for your own spiritual health, are you doing something for you and something for your team?
That's
if you're in charge of a team,
that's right.
Are you making your staff go to church? Like, that's just a total side note, but that hits a nerve with me.
It's a thing. It's real.
I know it's real, and I see it in the eyes of kids leaders that walk around here. They're tired, and they wonder why they're tired, and it's because they're never in getting fed.
Yeah. Well, that was a God moment in showing us that, but we didn't see it until we were already in the middle of it. He orchestrated it all out, and we were in the middle of it, and then it went, duh.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
That's a good one.
Man, thanks to you guys for this conference. Everything KidzMatter does year round, but man, this conference is where it's at. There's so many people that emotionally, spiritually, mentally, professionally take steps forward this week. And if you're not here, if you weren't here for this, I strongly challenge you next year. See if there's any way you can possibly come, because I promise you, it makes a huge difference in people's lives.
It's family, like we said.
That's
we started. It's family.
Man, serve out of your overflow. Come here to get filled up.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you so much. Go check out Awana. And I would just even challenge you, if you're a leader, if you're sitting there and like, man, I don't know, like, even just use this time. This conversation is a great time to reevaluate what you do. Are you doing maybe the most, or are you taking advantage of the time? Or even if midweek's not your thing, is there another night of the week where you could do some kind of discipleship for kids, or partner with families in a way that's going to offer discipleship at a new level? I think that's really what we have to realize.
That's right.
It's got to happen. And if we don't do something, nobody is. So Mark, thank you so much. We'll see you next time on KidzMatter Podcast. We'll see you.
What an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We are so glad that you joined us, and we hope you have an amazing rest of your week. Keep making kids ministry the best it can be. Don't forget, you can get a free download of a month's worth of curriculum at Brite Curriculum, BRITE curriculum.com. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.